You're listening to the Small Business Accelerator podcast, accelerating success, one founder at a time.
With your hosts, Roger Bryant and Sarah Wilson.
We support small business owners, the little guys. We're here to help you win in today's landscape.
Join us each week as we reveal powerful strategies for small business owners that save you time and money.
Because we believe every small business owner should have access to Fortune 500 style strategies without breaking the bank.
Subscribe now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts to accelerate your small business success.
All right, so today we're going to be talking all about scaling your business without, stressing yourself out in the process.
Easier said than done.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was just reading this guide, From Kitchen Table to Corner Office, Scale Without the Stress. And it made me think, we get so caught up in wanting more clients, more revenue, more employees.
Right.
And we forget about, the people. It's almost like trying to build a rocket ship without making sure the astronauts are, happy and fed and everything.
Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster.
I mean,
This guide, it says, it stresses how important it is for managers to have a systems perspective.
okay.
So you really have to think of each person, on your team as like a cog in this machine.
Oh, okay.
And the way those cogs work together, that is what makes scaling go more smoothly.
So it's not just about delegating tasks, it's about making sure or understanding how those tasks and the people doing them are all connected.
Yeah, exactly. It's about, understanding what each person is good at, what they're maybe not so good at, and making a system where everybody can use their strengths.
Yeah, I'm starting to see how that systems perspective thing can make a real difference. But, even if you have a great team, there's still only so much time in a day.
Totally.
And that's where I think this online course, Automations Made Easy, comes in. Because they say that you can save at least 2 hours every day through automation.
Wow.
Can you actually save that much time?
It depends. You can, but you can't just automate everything, right?
Right.
You have to be smart about it. This course breaks down a really practical way to do it step by step. So you start by looking at all the tasks you do that take a long time but don't really need creative thinking, the things you probably hate doing anyway.
Oh, okay. So scheduling social media posts or maybe those emails you have to send out all the time.
Exactly. Those are perfect.
Yeah.
Get those going automatically, and then you'll start seeing other places where you can save time too.
Yeah. Because if you can get that extra time back as a business owner, that's huge. That's time you can spend on strategy or, building relationships.
Yeah, or even just taking a break.
Yeah.
And the best part is when you have more time, you can actually think more clearly about how to grow your business.
Okay, so speaking of strategy, this guide also talks a lot about having a good brand narrative.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's something a lot of entrepreneurs, especially the ones who are more numbers focused, they might struggle with that whole idea.
Yeah, maybe. But think about it. Even if you have the best product out there, if you can't explain why it matters, why people need it, it's just going to, get lost.
Yeah.
It's like a catchy tagline isn't enough. You need a story that people connect with.
A story, okay, yeah.
Like the brands you love, the ones that really stick with you.
Yeah.
Not just selling you something, they're selling you a feeling.
Okay, I see what you mean. So how do we even start with that? Do we need to hire some kind of professional storyteller?
Not necessarily. You can just ask yourself some questions. What problem are you solving? What makes your business different? What are you really passionate about? And when you answer those, that's the beginning of your story.
And it's okay if that story changes as you go, right?
Of course. It should change as your business changes.
Okay, now let's talk about the elephant in the room, remote work. It's been huge for a lot of businesses, but it also comes with some problems, especially when you're trying to grow and keep a strong company culture.
Right. And we have to remember that remote work isn't just about working in your pajamas and having Zoom meetings. It's a whole different way of working.
It's funny, we all got a taste of that during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But now it's becoming normal for a lot of industries. So how do we make it work, not just survive?
Well, this book, From Kitchen Table to Corner Office, talks a lot about that. And one thing they say is managers need specific training for remote work. We can't just use the same old management styles that we used in the office.
So what kind of training are we talking about here? What are the most important things for managers to know?
It's a whole new set of skills. They need to know how to communicate clearly, set clear expectations, and make sure people are accountable even when you can't see them all the time.
Yeah. And how do you get that same sense of connection that you get in an office? Like those chats by the water cooler or those quick brainstorming
Well,
sessions?
that's what you need to get creative with, like virtual team building activities.
Okay.
And they don't have to be cheesy. You just have to find things that let people connect in real way, even if it's just like a 5-minute check-in at the beginning of a meeting.
It's amazing how much those little things can matter. Okay, so this is interesting. One of the sources we looked at, Peter Dunn, he says that remote work has actually given more power to employees. Do you agree with that?
Hmm. That's a tricky one.
Yeah.
I mean, on the one hand, it gives people more flexibility, right?
Yeah.
They can set their own hours, work from anywhere, no more commute.
Yeah, which can be great for morale and getting work done.
Absolutely. But it also makes things harder for managers in some ways.
Hmm.
Like, how do you know people are doing their work if you can't see them? How do you prevent burnout when work and life are all mixed up?
So it's all about balance, right? Too much control is bad, but too little control is bad too.
Exactly. And I think both managers and employees need to change the way they think about work.
Oh,
It's not about just being present. It's about trusting each other and getting the work done.
trust. Yeah, that's a good word. This is already a lot to process.
It is.
Let's take a little break and then we'll be back to talk more about remote work, how to make it work, and some strategies for making it work for you.
It's interesting how with this whole remote work thing, communication has become so much more, I don't know, complicated.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like, when we were kids and we played that game Telephone, and the message was totally different by the end. It feels like that.
Yeah.
But with emails and messages and online meetings, like you're just setting yourself up for misunderstanding.
Yeah, and that's why you really have to put effort into communicating well. And this book, From Kitchen Table to Corner Office, it
Yeah.
talks about how important it is to have like different ways to talk to each other,
Okay, so not just those regular team meetings, you mean?
Right, you need those too. But you also need those little moments where you can just chat.
Yeah.
Like you would in an office.
Like those water cooler moments.
Exactly. Think virtual coffee breaks, playing games online together, or even just a quick message to see how someone is doing.
Yeah. It's all about making people feel like they're still connected. Which I guess that leads to the bigger question. How do you even build a strong company culture when everybody's working from home?
Well, the book talks about virtual team building activities.
Yeah.
And some companies are doing some really fun things like, I don't know, escape rooms online or cooking classes together.
Oh, wow. That's a lot more fun than those trust falls we used to do.
Right. The point is to find activities that let people have fun and get to know each other. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be as simple as asking a fun question at the beginning of a meeting.
Okay, I'm all for that. But what about those times when you really need to talk to someone right away? How do you do that when everyone's remote?
Well, that's when asynchronous communication comes in.
Asynchronous.
It just means you don't expect an answer right away, like with emails or project boards or even voice notes. It lets people respond when it's good for them.
It's kind of like the difference between going to a live concert and listening to a recording. You can do both, but they're different experiences.
I like that. And just like with music, sometimes you need one, sometimes you need the other.
So when is asynchronous communication, really helpful?
It's really good for teams that are spread out in different time zones, so no one feels pressure to be working all the time.
And it can actually make people communicate better, right? Because they have time to think before they respond.
Exactly. But it does require like a different way of thinking. We're so used to getting answers instantly that we have to, remind ourselves to slow down.
And everyone needs to be on the same page about, how quickly they should respond and when it's okay to use email versus having a live conversation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You need those boundaries. Okay, so we've talked a lot about flexibility and giving people freedom, but what about maintaining quality as you grow? It's easy to, cut corners when you're trying to move fast.
Oh, yeah. It's that classic problem of quantity versus quality, right?
Right. The book, From Kitchen Table to Corner Office, it suggests a few things. Having clear SOPs, quality assurance checks, and regular training for your team.
Okay. Break that down for me. SOPs. What are those?
SOPs stand for Standard Operating Procedures. Basically, they're instructions for how to do specific tasks.
Yeah.
So everyone does things the same way, and there are fewer mistakes, especially when you have new people joining.
So it's like a recipe for how to do things right.
Exactly. And quality assurance is like making sure the recipe is working,
Yeah.
checking that the final product is, up to your standards.
So you've got your recipe and your taste tester. What about the training part?
Training helps everyone stay up to date and make sure they have the skills to do their best work even as the company is changing.
It's an investment, right?
Definitely. A well-trained team is more efficient and gets more done. And while we're talking about keeping things running smoothly, let's talk about customer service. It's hard to, keep that personal touch when your business is growing. You can't be the one answering every question yourself.
But it's so important. If your customer service is bad, people will go somewhere else.
Oh, for sure. And the
Yeah.
book actually, it suggests a few things for this too.
Okay.
Make it easy for people to find answers themselves,
Mhm.
like with FAQs,
Mhm.
but also make sure you have a good customer support team in place.
So give people the tools to help themselves, but be there for them when they need that extra help.
Right. And technology can really help with this too. Chatbots, personalized emails, systems that keep track of what your customers like and need.
So using technology to make things better, not to get rid of the human touch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In all this talk about scaling and growing, we kind of forget about something important.
What's that?
The impact it can have on the business owner themselves.
The stress.
The pressure.
Yeah, all of that. It's easy to get so caught up in working that you forget to take care of yourself. But burnout is real, and it can really hurt your business.
Okay, so what can we do about that? How do we manage all that stress and not go crazy?
The book really emphasizes self-care. It sounds so simple, but it's the first thing we forget when we're busy.
So back to basics.
Back to basics. Get enough sleep, exercise, eat healthy food.
Like we're back in kindergarten.
Haha, I know, right? But seriously, these things are important. And don't forget to do things you enjoy, even if it's just for a few minutes each day. Read, listen to music, spend time with people you care about, whatever helps you relax. Give yourself a break, which is hard for us entrepreneur types. We always want to be working.
It takes practice, but it's really important. And taking care of yourself isn't just good for you, it's good for your business too.
Mm.
You can't do your best work if you're exhausted all the time.
And it's okay to ask for help, right? Whether it's delegating tasks, asking for advice, or even talking to a therapist.
Absolutely. You don't have to do everything alone.
Yeah.
Having people to support you makes a big difference.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground already. This is giving me so much to think about.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment to absorb all of this, and then we'll come back to wrap things up and talk about some key takeaways. All right, so let's try to bring all of this together. We've talked about a lot, but I'm starting to see how it all connects, when you're trying to scale your business.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. It's not just about doing more of the same stuff. You have to change things, adapt, build a system that can handle that growth.
It's like upgrading from a bicycle to a race car, right? You need a whole different skill set, a more powerful engine if you want to go faster.
Exactly. And just like with a race car, you need a pit crew, right? A team that can keep everything running smoothly. And that brings us back to something we talked about earlier. This book, From Kitchen Table to Corner Office, it really emphasizes how important people are.
Yeah.
It's your team that's going to make or break you when you're trying to scale.
So how do you, go from being the one who does everything to being a leader who can, inspire and motivate a team? That's a big change for a lot of entrepreneurs.
It is, and you have to kind of let go of that idea that you have to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
Start by thinking about what your team is good at. Who's
Sure.
great at solving problems? Who's super organized?
Yeah.
Who's good with people? And then give them tasks that match their strengths.
So you're creating a team where everyone's, doing what they're best at, and it all works together.
Right. And don't forget to be clear about what you expect from them. Make sure everyone knows what they're supposed to do and how it contributes to the overall success.
And create an environment where it's okay to give feedback and make mistakes, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You want to encourage people to be creative and try new things. All right, so let's talk about money for a second. Scaling almost always means you need to invest some money.
Yeah.
Whether you're using your own savings or getting funding from somewhere else, you have to be smart about how you spend it.
It's not just about throwing money at the problem, hoping it goes away.
Exactly. This book, it recommends making a detailed financial plan.
Okay.
Figure out how much you think you'll earn, how much you'll spend, what are the key things you need to measure to see if you're on track.
So like a roadmap for your finances.
Yes. And don't be afraid to change that roadmap as you go, because things are always changing, right?
Right. Okay, let's go back to automation for a minute. We talked about how it can save you time and energy, but I'm realizing it's also really important for making your business model scalable, right?
Absolutely. As you grow, those little tasks you used to do manually can become huge problems if you don't automate them.
It's like trying to run a marathon with a backpack full of rocks. You can do it for a while, but it's going to slow you down.
Uh-huh. Perfect analogy. Automating those tasks is like taking off that backpack so you can move faster and go further. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. We've talked about strategies and tools, but scaling a business is also about you, the person. It's about your resilience, your ability to face challenges and keep going.
It's not just about the numbers.
Right. It
Yeah.
can be tough. There will be times when things go wrong, when you doubt yourself, when you want to quit.
Like running an obstacle course, you know?
Exactly. You have to be ready to jump over hurdles, get muddy, push yourself beyond your comfort zone. And that's where resilience comes in, being able to bounce back from setbacks and keep learning and growing.
And that's something you can learn to do, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
So how do we build that muscle? How do we get more resilient as entrepreneurs?
One thing you can do is focus on the positive. When something goes wrong, don't dwell on it. Think about what you learned and how you can do better next time.
Turn those failures into learning experiences.
Yes. And find people who support you, people who believe in you and your vision. They can help you through the tough times.
Yeah, you don't have to do this alone.
And don't forget to celebrate your successes, even the small ones. Scaling a business takes time, so it's important to acknowledge your progress and give yourself credit for all the hard work.
Those little wins keep you motivated. So to everyone out there who's trying to scale their business, remember, you got this. Believe in yourself, be resilient, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
And keep the conversation going. We want to hear from you. Share your thoughts, your questions, your own experiences. Connect with us online, and let's learn from each other.
We're all in this together. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into scaling without the stress.
Thanks for tuning in to the Small Business Accelerator podcast.
We really hope today's strategies help you grow your business without breaking the bank.
Don't forget to check the show notes for links to resources we've handpicked for small business success.
If you found value in today's episode, it would make our day if you subscribed to the podcast and left us a review.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And stay tuned for our next episode. Next time, we'll reveal yet another game-changing strategy that's revolutionizing how small businesses on a shoestring budget take on giant corporations and accelerate their success.
Until then, keep accelerating your success.
This is Sarah Wilson.
And Roger Bryant, signing off.